What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and we got a twofer. I just got done making a video about Empire releasing some pretty cool images of from Halloween Kills. Here's another one right here, ladies and gents. Same website. Empire is bringing us another exclusive image from the upcoming Spiral from the Book of Saul. But this image that you're taking a look at isn't even the big news for this video. You see, there's some other things that were stated by Darren Lynn Bousman, who you'll recall has directed some of the other installments of the Saw franchise, 2, 3, and 4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But some pretty juicy little tidbits given about this film, how he sees this film comparative to another film, which you'll probably notice in the title, and something else that stood out to me as kind of interesting as it relates to a Saw film. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to, while we're looking at this awesome image here, I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of the interview Empire had with Darren Lynn Bousman, and we'll just go from there. So speaking to Empire, in the new issue, Spiral director Darren Lynn Bousman, who previously helmed Saw 2, 3, and 4, props to me for knowing that, says it isn't just the previous movies in the series that Rock is drawing from, but also from one of the most acclaimed serial killer thrillers of all time. Quote, Chris came in with a thriller concept, he says. He pitched this very elaborate, dense idea. He wanted it to feel much more like Se7en, but it has so many ties to the mythos of Saw. Since David Fincher's 7 Deadly Sins film frequently veers from thriller territory into good old, what is it, horror, it's easy to see how Rock's film might push that boundary further through the Saw lens. So, I don't know how many of you are fans of Se7en, but I absolutely love that film. Some of Fincher's best work, in my personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people out there that'll disagree with that and throw whatever movie on top of it. But for me, for my opinion, fantastic. Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt did such an amazing job in that film. It's a movie that I'll admit I did not watch when it originally came out. I was kind of young, but over the last like 10 years or so, maybe a little less, I have fallen in love with Se7en. Absolutely love it. And I've always said that I kind of felt like a connection almost between a Saw film, specifically the original and some of the other ones sprinkled throughout, I guess, pieces, and Se7en. So if you're giving me a Saw film, a franchise that I absolutely adore, and, you're not only giving me that, but you're sprinkling in elements of another film that I adore, that I've always saw parallels between the two. And I've always thought that if those two films had merged together, it could be like the perfect crime, thriller, horror, whatever you want to call it. I am elated to hear this news. I absolutely love this idea, and it gives me, if I watch Spiral and I see the certain elements from Se7en sprinkled throughout, I'm gonna be happy, more than likely, with the outcome, regardless of whatever else happens in this thing. But yeah, I absolutely love this idea. I really do. It's really, in my opinion, taking two films that really made an impression on me and merging them together into this hybrid that I think that is made for people like me. Let's just be perfectly honest. But the article does continue. It says, that's not the only tonal shift for the new outing. With Rock's background in comedy, Boseman hints that there will be a few killer laughs to leaven the nightmares, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. One of my favorite franchises is Scream. And even in some of the later entries, I'd say they maybe relied a little too much on comedy. But I have nothing wrong with some comedy in a horror film. I personally think you throw in some comedy, you throw in some levity. Um, Maybe you don't see the next scare coming. Maybe you're taken off your guard. And also, who doesn't like to laugh? So I have no problem with that either. But it continues. Plus, the splatter is being turned down a little more for this one. Quote, I was a younger person, the director says of his earlier Saw flicks. Gore and violence was the gimmick, I think. Gore and violence is no longer the gimmick. It just serves the story. This is so much more about character, tension, and fear. Wow. Wow. They are really going to take what, and I'll be the first to admit it, I love the Saw franchise. Some of the films are really good, some of the films are not so good, but overall, it's, you know, it's the gore, torture porn, you're either into this shit or you're not type of genre. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. That sparks my interest. But then to turn around and say that we're going to really make this about characters, we're going to make this about fear, we're going to make this about tension building instead of just gore. Holy shit. That really, to me, cements the fact that this is more akin to a Seven, being wrapped up in this Saw universe. And the fact that this film takes place in the same universe, it's not a reboot. Everything that happened in the past in the sequel and the sequels happened in this film. And like the article alluded to earlier, when Darren Bousman said that there's so many little things from the Saw universe sprinkled throughout, they're not turning their back on the franchise. They're not turning their back on the story, but they're elevating the story, and they're elevating the tension, and they're elevating the fear, and they're not just doing it through cheap tricks, which once again, I'm fine with, but you got to respect this. You got to respect, at least in my estimation, taking a franchise like Saw and really trying to take it seriously, really making this installment something more palatable for a wider audience to be able to accept and enjoy. And for that, I gotta tell you, when I first started hearing about Chris Rock having ideas of a new Saw film and this thing was going to come to fruition, I was kind of on the fence. Like, it's Chris Rock. He's more of a comedian. This doesn't really seem like his thing. I don't know. But then you see people like Danny McBride writing the new Halloween trilogy, who's definitely more known for comedy than anything else. You see Jordan Peele, who up until Get Out was pretty much just known for Key and Peele, a comedy, type skit show. So I have completely wiped off any and all worry that I have about comedians stepping into the world of horror at this point. And I find that they're bringing a new ideas, a new feel, reinvigorating the genre, in my opinion. I think Jordan Peele has done that. I think Danny McBride is doing that. I think Chris Rock is going to do that as well. So, guys, we are getting a Saw flick, a legitimate sequel, mind you, with a tonal shift to feel like Seven, with it being more about characters and fear and tension, with Samuel L. Jackson in this motherfucker. I had to throw in a motherfucker when I say Samuel L. Jackson. I'd be remiss to not. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. Big fan of the Saw franchise. And from what I'm seeing, from what I'm hearing about this film, I got to tell you, this one can't come out soon enough. I am super excited. And nothing I have seen or heard thus far has got me as hyped for this film as this article that Empire put out, talking to Darren Lynn Bousman. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I know if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I'm very excited about this. But I want to know what you all think. Leave me some comments down in the comment section below. While you're there, check out the description section where you'll see some links to follow me on whatever your social media preference may be. I'm probably on there. There's also some ways to support this channel if you so choose to do so. But before we leave one another today, make sure you also leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and definitely subscribe and turn on notifications if you're a fan of the horror genre. If you're a fan of the Saw franchise, definitely stick around because it's going to be a wild ride. We're going to be getting all these movies this year that we should have gotten last year. God damn you, Rona. And I can't wait. It's going to be an amazing ride this year. Join us here at Bloody Breakdown as we do just that, break down anything and everything horror related. So with that said, I'm Bran from Bloody Breakdown, and we will catch you all next time.